Hey there, and welcome back to Rimworld. My name is Pete, and today we complete another episode of our Rimworld series in the Cold Bog with the Cult of Jingz. In the last episode, we completed our first small quest for the Horn of Edmo and defended the village of Livienna against another raid, and by planting our third Garenland tree with cocoa, we also earned ourselves enough ideology development points to now expand the Cult of Jingz for the first time. Now, you guys left a lot of great suggestions in the comments of the last episode, and we also had a small poll a few days ago to gauge interest, and I think I have found an interesting way to develop our ideology going forward. First of all, we can only make one change here, and of course that change will be to our memes. I said in the last episode that I would probably go with the Raider, but after reading a lot of your comments, that has changed somewhat. I still think that it's a fitting meme for the series, and it might be the one that we're going with next, but today we are instead picking Pain is Virtue. This means that our colonists actually get a mood bonus from being in pain, but it also comes with a few drawbacks, and most importantly, it unlocks a few interesting things that we can only get with this meme. This info right here we can ignore for the moment and instead take a look at our new precepts now. Again, in this window here we can only make a single change. Now, of course, the main part of this new edition is the mood bonus that our colonists now get from being in pain, which can go up to a +9, so people will be a bit happier in combat, and especially also while they're recovering from injuries. The main drawback is the fact that our colonists now no longer care about comfort, something that is usually good for a similar mood boost, especially with things like high-quality beds and chairs. In the end, the removal of comfort bonuses probably makes those people that sit around a lot, for crafting or cooking for example, a little unhappier, but overall I think the mood around the colony should remain roughly the same. A small mood bonus can also be obtained from having our people sleep on slab beds, but as you can see the +2 increase here is pretty small. One more major addition that we have unlocked as part of the new meme is scarification, as our colonists now actually want to bear ritual scars. At the moment, this precept is set to minor, so our cultists will only demand a single scar each, but down the line, as the Cult of Jingz potentially becomes a bit more extreme, we can of course increase this. I just don't want to go completely overboard right from the beginning. In addition, our colonists still don't care about eating at tables or sleeping in rough temperatures, and all other precepts from the tree connection meme are also still present. Now, the next few precepts here can be changed regardless of ideology, and I think one thing that we definitely want to change at this point is that our colonists no longer care about seeing corpses. After all, the Cult of Jingz was founded by a bloodlusty psychopath, and we have killed quite a few people already, so at this point I don't think our villagers should get mood penalties from seeing dead people. Since we have also executed a few prisoners in our time, I think it makes some sense to change our policy in this regard as well, so executions are now deemed a good thing as long as the prisoner is considered guilty, for example if they attacked us in a raid. And on top of that, performing such an execution will now even give us an ideology development point. For diversity of thought, I think it is now justified to set this to at least mild bigotry, so that our colonists prefer people and surroundings to be part of the Cult of Jingz, and naturally distrust anyone from a different ideology. Again, this can and probably should be ramped up to more extreme levels in the future, but for now this should do just fine. The rest here then remains unchanged until we get to male clothing, because as many of you have pointed out, the Cult of Jingz is indeed fairly female-dominated, with Maniac and Tuk being the only male members. As such, I think we can start incorporating some parts of the female supremacy meme without actually wasting a meme slot on it, and the first thing that we'll do here is to demand that our male members be fully clothed at all times. Again, not to the most extreme level just yet, but pants, shirt and hat are now a requirement, and don't worry, a mask does count as a hat for this purpose. In marriage, we will also now have couples always take on the woman's name, and with that, I think we have made a few changes that definitely fit the current state of our colony. We are not done just yet though, as we can now also unlock the role of plant specialist, in our case called the Gardener of Jingz. This role can be assigned to anyone with a plant skill over 6 and is actually part of the tree connection meme, and it increases plant work speed and harvesting yield for people with this role. In exchange, however, they can no longer perform certain other tasks, like animal handling, crafting or cooking for example. With the Pain is Virtue meme, we have also unlocked the scarification ritual, referred to as the tree torment by our cultists, and we can perform this whenever a colonist voices their desire for a new scar. With our prisoners, meanwhile, we can now also perform gladiator duels, which can actually give us ideology development points as well. In addition, we will set the Bark Brawl's additional reward to random recruit so that we can use this ritual to grow our colony. The rest then remains as it is until we reach the preferred apparel section, and here we are going to set face masks as a strong requirement for everyone. This will give our colonists a small mood bonus for wearing a mask, and again, I think it nicely reflects something that developed kind of organically anyway. And that's it, the new and improved version of the Cult of Jingz is now ready to go. For the next reformation, we now need 12 ideology development points instead of 10, but we have also unlocked a few new sources to obtain them, so I think it evens out. Looking at specs here, we can now immediately see the impact of our changes. She gets a small mood boost because everyone in the colony believes in the Cult of Jingz, but also mood penalties for not having any ritual scars. And no, regular scars obtained in combat do unfortunately not count here, although our cultists still receive the pain-related mood bonuses from them, but the desire to be scarred can only be satisfied by performing the Tree Torment ritual. Before we begin such a ritual though, we can send Maniac out to do some mining, and not just any mining, he is currently extracting some jade for a very specific construction project. Shortly after, a cluster of cargo pods crashes down and we receive a load of psychoid leaves, so we could potentially take our first steps towards drug production soon, or just sell them for a small profit. Back in the base, Bex, Coco and Tuk are now going hunting, and their target is the mighty Megasloth, one of the rarest and among the most dangerous animals in the game, but with 3 skilled archers and Spex's burden ability, we don't have any trouble taking it down. Maniac has also returned with a load of jade, and that means we now have enough materials to use Thoraya's creativity inspiration to construct a jade double slab bed for her and Maniac. Yes, the two of them will now sleep on a slab made from green gemstone, and with Thoraya's inspiration, the bed's quality will be raised by 2 levels, potentially allowing for the construction of a masterwork bed. With her construction skill of 10, that is actually a reasonable expectation, but I guess Thoraya wants to impress today, as she goes even further and produces a legendary result. This is the highest item quality that you can obtain in the game, and it is actually impossible to get without inspiration. Needless to say, Thoraya and Maniac will sleep very well from here on out. The bed itself also includes some artwork showing Thoraya being incapacitated by Specs, possibly referring to that fistfight the two of them had at the very beginning of the series, shortly after Thoraya joined us. On top of that, the bed's legendary quality has boosted its rest effectiveness to a whopping 160%, which works very nicely with Maniac, who already has the quick sleeper trait. With a beauty rating of 80, the bed is also giving the room's impressiveness a big boost, and so I would say the episode is off to a great start. And we can keep constructing for just a little while longer, as we now put down a leather kneel sheet next to our ritual spot. After all, we want our colonists to have a nice place to sit for the first tree torment. Since wood is in short supply, we can then also put up a tailoring bench made from steel. It doesn't look quite as good as a wooden one, I think, but right now we have to make a few sacrifices. During the night then, the first rice plants start dying off due to the cold, so we have Coco harvest what she can. It is not much though, and the rest will inevitably freeze to death. On the next morning, we can watch Reddini make the first steel face mask. Unlike the wooden war mask, the visage mask can actually be made from different materials, and as such remain fairly competitive as a protective gear in the early game. Our goal here is to get Reddini to level 6 in the crafting skill, but as you can see, we are still a long way off from there. So while she keeps crafting, we can now also construct a wooden lectern next to our ritual spot, as this will improve the quality of the tree torment ritual even further. In the meantime, Specs can put on the face mask, and with the lectern constructed, it is now time for the very first ritual, scarification. Now, the cutter here needs to be our tree speaker, so Specs will occupy that role, while our first target will be Reddini. With altar, lectern and kneel sheet in place, and with 4 participants, we can expect a quality of 100%, although ritual quality is not that important for the tree torment, as the mood bonuses and penalties that we can potentially obtain are relatively small. By the way, the reason we are going with Reddini here first is that we want to make her our tree speaker soon, and since she can't cut herself, we will first have Specs give her the scar, then change roles and then have Reddini do the cutting in the future. We can also keep a close eye on Reddini's health tab here to see where the scar will actually go. The good thing about these ritual scars is that they do not really reduce a body part's effectiveness and are more for flavor and pain, of course. And so, as a very timely eclipse sets in, Reddini receives a scar above her right eye, again very fitting as her poor eyesight has become somewhat of a defining characteristic. As Specs brings Reddini back to her chambers, the ritual is then complete and it was in fact satisfying, so for the next 6 days everyone receives a meager +1 mood bonus. Reddini gets a further permanent +1 for now having a scar and a temporary +3 for being the subject of this ritual, so again the mood bonuses here are nothing that will drastically impact our colony's happiness. The remainder of the day then remains fairly uneventful, so let's jump ahead to the next morning, which still looks the same as the eclipse has not yet gone away. Despite all that, or even because of it, we can now begin another ritual, a festival of trees. For this Sky Lantern Festival, every participant will craft themselves a wooden lantern that will then be released into the dark sky. If the ritual is successful, we can earn up to 2 development points, and there is also a 50% chance of a random recruit joining us, and with an expected quality of 85%, I think we have a good chance for both. Alright, so the ritual was beautiful, giving this new version of the Cult of Jingz its first development point as well as a +6 mood bonus for all colonists. Even better than that, the Sky Lanterns have also attracted someone who wishes to join us, and her occupation as an art student could be interesting. First of all though, let's give the 5th woman of Livienna the name Jekna, as always chosen from the list of patrons in the naming rights tier and above. Looking at her stats, the 77-year-old Jekna fills the role that we have been desperately looking for. Yes, her primary passion might be art, but she is still somewhat interested in crafting and has at least a bit of experience in the skill. On top of that, she can fight, do a bit of doctoring, and her neurotic trait gives her a nice work speed bonus as well. She is also already a believer in the Cult of Jingz and comes with her very own face mask and ritual scar already equipped, and that is the great benefit of recruiting people via rituals. There might only be a 50% chance for it to work, but if it does, the person should usually fit right in. Now, a bad back and an old gunshot wound might slow Jekna down a bit, but since she will likely spend most of her time just sitting around crafting, this should hopefully not cause too many problems. Of course, we now need a place for her to sleep, so we can quickly replant some trees to make room above the Rias and Maniac's bedroom, and then, as Jekna arrives in Livienna, the eclipse also comes to an end. Now Jekna immediately takes over crafting duties from Reddini, as she is much closer to level 6 and will likely produce better quality items as well. For now, we'll keep going with the face masks, but once we hit level 6, we have something else in store that I'm really looking forward to. The new room is also quickly constructed, and this will not actually be Jekna's room now. Instead, we can move Reddini over here, as she no longer needs access to the tailoring bench, so it makes some sense to give her old room to Jekna. In the evening, we can then put down a few more stone pathways and butcher the Mega Sloth for a healthy amount of meat and heavy fur. This fur, by the way, will be very useful for some higher quality clothing items that we plan on making down the line. Jekna, meanwhile, can also craft herself some muffalo wool travel wear to stay warm. Pants and t-shirts are frowned upon in Livienna, and she does not want to cause any trouble, I suppose. On the following morning, it is then time for the next ritual, and this time we are going for a role change. As promised, Reddini will now become the new tree speaker of Jingz, and since this role can only ever be given to one colonist at a time, that also means that Specs will lose it and won't be happy about that. That is a bit unfortunate in my opinion, as we are only doing this so that Specs can assume a different role in just a moment, but there is no way around it, and spirits are quite high at the moment, so I hope that Specs can live with the mood penalty. And there we go, with a gentle snow setting in, the Cult of Jingz has a new tree speaker in Reddini, while Specs is currently without a role and has just suffered a nasty -15 mood penalty for being demoted. Don't worry though, we are going to fix that very shortly. Not today though, as we have one more important issue to tackle, the protection of our Woodmaker Dryads and our Anima tree. In the past, attackers from the east had an easy time going after our Dryads Kipsoy and Mixie, and so we are now constructing a granite wall just outside of the Anima tree's range to protect that area from intruders. This is not going to be easy, as large parts of the terrain here are swamp and won't hold a stone wall, but for now let's reinforce what we can and worry about the rest later. At night then, we also send out Specs, Maniac and Took to hunt another Mega Sloth. Winter is coming after all, and we could use both the meat and the fur. On the next morning we have more animal news. Muffalotina has given birth. That means it's time to give out yet another name, and for the small calf here we are going with Lorbs. For the moment I can say welcome to the colony, but I am not entirely sure for how long. So let me know what you think. Should we keep Lorbs here around and perhaps even grow a small herd of Muffalo, or should we keep things small for now and sell or butcher Lorbs at the next opportunity? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the naming rights going, as our second Medicine Maker Dryad has just hatched as well. Its name will be Karma, so congratulations, and together with Solar Bear, the two will now produce 8 units of herbal medicine every single day. Following that, it is time for yet another ritual, as we are now making Specs the Spirit Chief of Jingz, our colony's proper leader. And just like in her role as the Tree Speaker, she will now receive a few unique abilities. After the ritual, she can now give a leader speech to potentially boost the mood in Livienna. She can also issue a work drive or combat command to improve the work speed or combat abilities of certain colonists, and she can even accuse someone and put them on trial. None of that is stuff that we need right this second, however, so let's keep things going with this quest that we have just received. The chief of another faction wants us to build a large monument in their name, and at that point we can probably stop reading, as the Cult of Jingz is only building monuments for themselves. Additionally, the rewards here are really not that great, so no, we are not taking this one. Instead, we can now have Jekna start work on a pigskin cape, not necessarily because we want to have one, but because a cape takes a really long time to finish, and by the end of it she will hopefully have reached crafting level 6. And well, if we get a solid cape out of it as well, I suppose that's nothing to complain about either. At night then, another quest reaches us, and this one is once again related to the Horn of Edmo. We have detected a space drone with info about the Horn, and we can make it land at Livienna to hack it and obtain that information. However, if we do, we will be attacked by hostile tribespeople every 8 hours until we finish the hack. Pretty interesting if you ask me, as it suggests that there might be another faction on this planet who is interested in the secrets of the Horn of Edmo. In any case, we will keep this quest in mind and probably start it in the next few days. I would like to make at least a bit of protective gear for our colonists first though. On the next morning then, we butcher Megasloth number 2, and shortly after we also see that Jekna has made it to level 6 in the crafting skill. Since her cape is almost finished, we will let her keep working for now, although we could in theory cancel the order now and reclaim all materials, but that feels a little bit too much like cheating to me. Once she is done then, we can line up the next task, the creation of 4 leather armors. These do not exist in vanilla Rimworld and are one of the main reasons why we installed the Vanilla Factions Expanded Vikings mod a little while ago, as this now gives us the option to make some protective gear that is still Neolithic but not heavy plate armor. Of course, we will use our best materials for it, which will then hopefully result in an armor that protects moderately well and also keeps our colonists warm. In terms of pure protection, it is definitely inferior to plate armor, simply because it does not protect the arms and neck, but to kind of make up for that, it only occupies the middle layer, so we could, in theory, wear a robe or a cape above it. All in all, I think it is a fairly well-balanced option, since it requires pretty high-quality materials to be useful and also takes quite some time to actually craft. Now, in the meantime, Coco and Maniac have been hunting a bear. Again, those high-quality furs and leathers don't make themselves, and as the evening rolls around, it is time for another ritual. This time we are performing Spex's tree torment, so tree speaker Reddini can now give colony leader Spex her first ritual scar. By the way, with a duration of 3 hours, these rituals are certainly not on the short side, at least not if we consider the comparatively small mood rewards for the spectators. So I guess if you really want to min-max this and use them more efficiently, you could reduce the number of participants, so that ritual quality is still moderately high, and then you could use that free time to get some work done with those people who are not participating. We are obviously not doing that, simply because the scarification of the Spirit Chief of Jingz is an event that no one should miss. Reddini then places the scar above the eye, an eye for an eye. I think we might have a theme developing here, but as far as I know, this is actually completely random. The ritual is, by the way, also a good way to increase Reddini's social skill, which in turn then of course benefits her as the tree speaker. The ritual then comes to an end with Reddini carrying Spex to her bed, and unfortunately it looks like Reddini does not quite possess Spex's gift for entertainment, as she only delivers a boring performance. Then again, the mood penalty is only a -1, so like I said, if that is something you can live with, you certainly do not need to make everyone attend these rituals. All in all, the mood effect of the pain is virtue meme is therefore not as large as it is sometimes made out to be. In our case, with the precept set to only minor, we might actually be looking at a net loss of happiness. Still, I would say that the Cult of Jingz and the colony of Livienna are doing quite well at the moment. And yes, we are about to wrap things up here for today, after we've been doing a lot of ideology-related stuff in this episode. Overall, we might not have made that much progress otherwise, but considering that today was a bit special with our first ideology reform, and that going over all of the minor details took about 5 minutes, I hope you can forgive that we kept things a bit more focused on those ideology developments today. Now, let us transition into another fan art showcase, this time featuring artwork from Doggo Doggy that I really hope YouTube is fine with, otherwise I might need to re-upload the video tomorrow with the artwork just linked elsewhere. In any case, I would like to leave you now with 2 questions. Number 1, who do you think should become our plant specialist? And number 2, what do you think we should do with our Muffalo Lorps? Regarding the plant specialist, I have my eyes on Coco, but Thoraya could work as well. While on the topic of muffalos, I think I really like the idea of raising a small herd, but then again food is a bit scarce during the winter, and while muffalos are not super hungry, they are still large animals that cannot be sustained on meat alone. So in both cases, I would really like to hear what you think, and as always, if you have enjoyed the episode, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.